Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in EDH. Today we're looking at Tasigur the Golden Fang. So Tasigur the Golden Fang is a 6 mana black creature 4/5, but it has Delve, and you can pay 2 and 2 hybrid Simic mana to put the top 2 cards. So you mill the top 2 cards of your library, and then you return a non-land card of an opponent's choice from your graveyard to your hand. So Tasigur does not firmly put us down the route of any particular strategy. You can play Tasigur Control, Tasigur Combo, Tasigur Stacks, whatever it is that you want to do, but it is notable for a few reasons. One, it's a commander that you can play for as cheap as 1 mana due to Delve, and 2, it is itself an infinite mana outlet, so if you have infinite mana, you can mill over your entire deck and bring back every single card from your graveyard to your hand aside from lands. So a few things, we've got our card draw spells. We're going to want to fill up our graveyard as quickly as possible as well. So JVP and Ledger Shredder are our looting effects that are going to fill up the graveyard. And then we've got our typical mana or our typical card draw spells like Mystic Remora, Rhystic Study, the Ring, Sylvan Library, but we've also got Peer into the Abyss. Teferi, Master of Time, also doubles as the first ability you can loot with 3 times a turn, in fact, or even 4 times a turn since we can activate it during the opponent's turn as well. We can also phase out creatures we don't control. So if our opponent has, for example, an annoying stacks creature that we need to deal with, like a Dothy Voidwalker, we can phase that creature out. And we've got Nezahal as well. This is going to be relevant for another reason later, but Nezahal is a 7 mana uncounterable 7/7. We have no max hand size. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature, we draw a card, and we can discard 3 to exile Nezahal and return it to the battlefield under the owner's control at the next end step. Then we've got our combo pieces. So of course Consul Oracle's in here because of course it would be since we're in Dimir colors. We've also got Dramatic Scepter. Any infinite mana is going to let us activate Tasigur over and over to win the game. We've got Yogwill to get stuff back from the graveyard, and Hullbreaker Horror to do the usual Hullbreaker Horror loop. Then a bunch of counter spells, some fast mana in Dark Ritual, Jeweled Lotus, etc. Bunch of Sultai color lands, with one standout being Urza Saga. Some protection in March of Swirling Mist and Veil of Summer. A bunch of ramp spells. Some removal spells, such as Gilded Drake, Assassin's Trophy, Abrupt Decay. A little bit of stacks of our own, Orcish Bowmasters, Opposition Agent, Dothy Voidwalker. Some sweepers in Culling Ritual, Cyclonic Rift, Toxic Deluge, and Toxrill. More on that later. And of course, a bunch of tutors to go grab the various combo pieces that we need. And then Seedborn Muse, which is not really in any specific category, but it does allow us to untap our lands, Mana Dorks, and Mana Rocks during every other player's turn, which can be relevant for holding up counter spells, casting other things at instant speed, or activating Tasigur. And then the big highlight here to note is that we've got Neoform and Eldritch Evolution. Now, because Tasigur can come down so quickly, because he has Delve, we can use Neoform and Eldritch Evolution to sack our Tasigur and go find some kind of big game-winning bombs. So that's why the big expensive cards in the deck. So specifically, if we sort by mana value, if we look at the 7 mana creatures that we can play, so they do need to specifically be 7 so that Neoform can get them. Eldritch Evolution can also get them. And this is not the extent of all of the creatures that we could play here, but they do represent some of the best ones. So Hullbreaker Horror is obviously a really good combo card. Nezahal is a really good card advantage engine, and Toxrill is a really good sweeper / card advantage engine. So switching this to an art that's more readable, so Toxrill is 7 mana 7/7. At the beginning of each end step, that's each end step, not just your end step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control get -1 for each slime counter on them. Whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, create a 1/1, and then blue-black, sack a slug, draw a card. So this will very quickly eat up all of our opponent's board, and then we can use the slugs that we generate to sack for cards. Nezahal will just sit around and keep drawing us cards off of all of our opponent's spells, and Hullbreaker Horror will of course combo for infinite mana with various mana rocks in the deck, which we can then sink into Tasigur to win the game. So the end state, in a lot of cases, is going to be getting Tasigur out and then Neoforming or Eldritch Evolutioning it into one of those big 7 mana creatures to either immediately win the game or just generate a ton of value. Or we can use the Consul Oracle or Oracle Tainted Pact combo, or we can use the Dramatic Scepter combo to generate infinite mana for Tasigur or Yogwill this stuff back. And then the end state is going to usually be just going through our whole deck with Tasigur and then playing Oracle to win the game. But we don't necessarily have to do that. We could just develop a superior board with some of these big creatures or like win the game via Toxrill. if we need to do that as well. And then the rest of the deck is just filled up with generally good cards like solid counter spells, solid mana ramp, solid removal to deal with whatever our opponents are doing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's going to function as a kind of typical Sultai value deck, Sultai combo, Sultai control, however you want to say it, but just with the unique angle of being able to get Tasigur down really fast and then Neoform or Eldritch Evolution it into the big 7 mana bombs. And yep, that is Tasigur the Golden Fang.